Hello everyone. This is the 44th part of the story, I'm Vōldēmōrt. Chapter 263. The next morning, Tom didn't receive a message from Lord Pōttēr as he expected, so he headed out to see what was going on. Drusilla told him to wait a bit longer, but by the time breakfast ended that morning, the bad feeling Tom has been having just wouldn't go away. Heading to Slytherin Manor, Tom went straight to the fireplace and flewed over only to find out that Lord Pōttēr didn't return home last night, which only made Tom's bad feeling worse. Although, it could be that he just spent the night at the Auror's office in Whitehall. Fuck it. Tom muttered as he flewed into the ministry and appeared in the Flaw Hall, where wizards and witches of all kinds were coming and going in and out of fireplaces lining the walls of the large hall. Making his way through the halls, Tom went directly to the Auror office, not needing to ask for directions as he's been there before. Strolling into the crowded office, Tom made his way past every Auror, none of them even moving an inch to stand in his way. Normally, anyone without permission would be escorted out, but I guess when Lord Tom Riddle comes knocking, not many have the capabilities to show him the door. Finding a door with Lord Pōttēr's name carved into it, Tom gives a quick courtesy knock and strolls right in. "Who is it?" Lord Pōttēr says grumpily, still tired from being awake most of the night dealing with Tom's package. "Oh, it's you." "Yup, the one and only," Tom says as he casually pulls up a seat and sits across the desk from Lord Pōttēr. Sighing to himself, Lord Pōttēr gets up and closes the door, but before that, he sends a menacing glare to every Auror outside that could have easily warned him of Lord Riddle's arrival at the very least. Once Lord Pōttēr took his seat again, Tom looked at him expectantly, but Lord Pōttēr didn't say a word. "Come on now. Don't leave me hanging," Tom says with a bit of annoyance laced between his word. "I give you some ripe and tasty proof and you can't pay me the courtesy of a message?" "No, thanks, Tom. You really saved us by uncovering this, or even a good job we've got your back, Lord Riddle." "Nothing?" Tom says with a raised eyebrow. Lord Pōttēr simply watched Tom's little act and wanted nothing more than to just go home and take a long nap. "Do you have any idea how much work I've had to do since receiving your proof?" Lord Pōttēr says and gestures to the large pile of papers on his desk. "Also, why did you fail to mention whatever is wrong with that man's face?" "I had to call an unspeakable to investigate it. I didn't know what it was and knew you would do exactly that once you saw it for yourself. I also dropped a few hints about corruption along the way." "Where is my thank you in all of this?" Tom asks. Lord Pōttēr merely stared at him without saying a word, causing Tom to burst out in a small chuckle. "Oh, relax. I'm just kidding." Tom laughs. "Though, a thanks would be nice." "Thank you, Lord Riddle," Lord Pōttēr says with a long sigh. "See, that wasn't so hard, was it?" Tom says with a small laugh. "Now, jokes aside. What have you found out thus far?" "We found out enough to know that you're telling the truth. The unspeakables are still running tests on whatever has happened to the minister's assistant, so we won't know anything for a while if ever. Depending on if they choose to disclose their findings." "What can we do to help?" Lord Pōttēr asked. "Oh, that's good." Tom nods happily. "First, you need to help me get a small army into this very building." Hearing Tom's words, Lord Pōttēr sinks into his chair with a contemplative look on his face. "I don't know if I can do that," he says, knowing that he can do it, but unsure if he should. "Can or won't?" Tom asks, knowing the Aurors handle the security of the ministry. "That depends where this army go and what they will do. In fact, where did you get an army from in the first place?" Lord Pōttēr asks. "They are sorcerers from Tibet. A group of self-made magicals similar to ourselves, except they are all muggles. a distorted voice says from behind Tom. Turning around, Tom found a man wearing all black with a mask hiding his face standing near the closed door. Unspeakable, I presume? Tom asks as he's never met one before. Yes, hello Lord Riddle. The Unspeakable says respectfully. Hello, I must say that I'm impressed that the Department of Mysteries knows of Kamar-Taj. Tom nods towards the masked man. Thank you for the praise, my lord. The Unspeakable says amiably. Just Tom is fine. I have great respect for an organization that can remain as mysterious as yours. Tom says. Not knowing the extent of what the Unspeakables know, Tom decides to cozy up to their side and find out. Of course, Tom. The man says in his distorted voice. You want me to allow foreign magicals into the headquarters of our government? Lord Pōttēr asked unconvinced. Well, when you put it like that it sounds a lot worse than it really is. Tom says with a roll of his eyes. Can't we just handle this in-house? With your help along with my aurors, we can take down the minister easily. Lord Pōttēr argues. It's not that simple. Tom says. Why isn't it that simple? Lord Pōttēr asks back. Suddenly, a rumbling sound could be heard and the building began to shake as if an earthquake was happening. That's why. Chapter 264, Bad Guy Chapter. Bad Guy Point of View. After their stern talking to the night before, the group of wizards, witches, and sorcerers worked throughout the night in order to set up the grand ritual needed to allow Dormammu entrance into their world. Although the sanctums protect the world from dimensional beings such as Dormammu, there is always a loophole to be found in any situation. As they weren't strong enough to fight the masters of Kamar-Taj, they couldn't go with Plan A, which was to simply destroy the sanctums one by one until Dormammu and any other dimensional being could come and go as they pleased. After losing battle after battle against the Ancient One and her forces, they started up a plan to subvert the sanctums altogether. They spent many painstaking months on a ritual that would connect a certain point of Earth to the Dark Dimension, which would allow Dormammu to take advantage and power his way through to their side. The only problem was the ingredients and certain items of power needed in the ritual. At first, they stole from museums and other places around the world, but that wasn't enough to fulfill the requirements of the ritual. Seeing that they couldn't avoid it, they started attacking sanctums around the world once again, but this time they weren't trying to destroy anything. Though, they wouldn't complain if that was a side effect of their actions. They were there to loot and plunder anything that could possibly be used in the ritual and escape as swiftly as possible. Once again, they were met with a hard defense and lost the large majority of their forces. Then an idea came to fruition. What if they recruited from the Wand Wavers? Doing so would bolster their dwindling numbers, and the Wand Wavers might even have ingredients and items that can be used in the ritual. It was like killing two birds with one stone. Soon, everything came together and the agents of Dormammu here on Earth had nothing to do but lay low and perform the ritual as their master commanded. They could not disappoint him now, as the consequences would be extremely dire. All of them wished to serve Dormammu, but none of them wanted to become a true mindless one as their master threatened. Rushing all night, the agents of Dormammu put together the entire ritual. A location with multiple crossing magical ley lines was needed to perform the ritual, so they used Hortensia's status as the Minister of Magic to use the basement of the Ministry headquarters as their ritual site. Some pushed for using Hogwarts instead, but the Monaster doesn't have enough power to simply walk into the school and demand a ritual room without someone finding out what they were doing. At the center of the grand ritual was the thing that would act as a gate to the Dark Dimension, the veil. Yes, the same veil from the Department of Mysteries that the Sirius Black from the books fell through and died. They didn't intend to find something like the veil when they went looking through the wizarding world, but when they did, it was far too good to pass up using it as the focal point of the ritual. When everything was finished, and the room was filled with painted symbols, ingredients, and items of power strewn about everywhere in key locations, each person involved in the ritual took their places around the room and started chanting. Azarath Metrian Zinthos, Azarath Metrian Zinthos, Azarath Metrian Zinthos, Azarath Metrian Zinthos, they all chanted together, filling the room with their voices. As their chant reverberates throughout the large basement, the items of power used to fuel the ritual lit up, pumping the energy held within into the ritual arrays below. With the power feeding into the arrays on the ground, they lit up and the energy started flowing through them like pathways towards the veil in the middle of it all. As the energy entered the deathly veil, its appearance began to change slightly, becoming darker with small purple highlights here and there. The portal in the arch itself shifted and ripples as its scenery began to change, shifting between the old and the new, which just so happens to look alarmingly like the dark dimension. Soon, the portal began to stabilize on the new scenery of the dark dimension as a large purple eye peeked into the portal, looking through to the other side. You've done well. Chapter 265 War. As the Ministry of Magic headquarters began to shake, Tom stood up and peeked out of the window. Outside, Tom could see a large portion of the building collapsed in on itself and an ominous purple glow shining through the rubble from down underneath. It seems we've run out of time, Tom muttered as he could feel the energies of the dark dimension seeping out of that area. Tom. The unspeakable calls from one window over, looking at exactly what Tom's seeing as well. What? Tom responds irritably. The Department of Mysteries has tweaked the wards to allow portals free entrance. Call your army. The distorted-voiced unspeakable says, shocking Tom as he didn't expect that. No, you won't. Lord Pōttēr yells as he stabilizes his footing. It's already done. The unspeakable responds with a shrug. Do they know about Dormammu? Tom thought as he quickly sent a mental message to his mother, telling her to gather the troops and portal them over. Even now, the building hasn't stopped shaking, nor has the amount of energy from the dark dimension disappeared. In fact, it's slowly but surely growing stronger with each passing moment. Tom also took a second to send a message to his strongest followers, telling them to get in disguise and prepare for battle. Of course, they wouldn't be able to portal here, so Tom ordered them to contact Jorella and catch a ride with the coming army from Camartage. Knowing that they would be at least a few minutes, Tom felt the energy coming through the rubble and decided to go check it out. Thanks for the help. They're on the way. Let's have a talk once this is all over, Tom says to the unspeakable as he jumps out of the opened window towards the rubble. Diving into a gap in the rubble, Tom works his way through an obstacle course of pillars and other debris. Using telekinesis to dodge falling debris and move any obstacles in his path, Tom rushes down towards where he could feel the energy coming from. Soon, he arrived at the lowest level of the ministry, seeing the ritual that was used to summon Dormammu. Seeing the many men and women around the room that looked to be taking part in the ritual before him, Tom instantly waves his hand without hesitation, sending a large horizontal blade of wind across the room. As the blade of wind traveled through the air, each and every one of the corrupted followers of Dormammu had their bodies severed in half from the waist down. None of them even noticed Tom's arrival as all of them were killed with ease. In the center of it all, the stone-arched veil was beginning to form small spiderweb cracks. It looked to be holding strong until Tom's wind blade came crashing through and hit the stone arch. With the cracks that already started weakening it, the stone arch didn't last too long and crumbled upon impact. As the stone pillar fell into pieces on the floor, the portal in the center didn't just disappear. No, it started expanding, and with that expansion came maddening laughter from the other side. Ha 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 ha, thanks for speeding things along, boy. The deep and monstrous voice of Dormammu laughs with glee. Huh? Tom grunts dumbly as he stared at his handiwork. Oops. As the portal grows larger and larger, Tom gets a good view of what's on the other side. The towering body of a humanoid figure shrouded in venomous hues of purple, orange, and green. Dormammu, Tom muttered as he sees the monstrous figure through the portal looking down on him. Although Dormammu's giant figure is terrifying, what worried Tom was the swarms of what seemed to be full mindless ones surrounding him. Each mindless one has a Hulk-like body along with black armored skin and one red glowing eye in the center of their forehead. Tom knew that his mother would be able to handle Dormammu if she gets here in time, of course. Though while she's dealing with that, the army of masters and his followers will have to deal with the mindless ones. Thankfully, Tom has already killed everyone that was in the ritual room, so they don't have to worry about them. Suddenly, tens of portals open at Tom's back and out walks his followers along with every able-bodied master of Kamar-Taj. At the head of them all was his mother, the Ancient One, who eyed Dormammu with the meanest glare Tom has ever seen from her. Chapter 266. Welcome to the party, Mother. Where's Druella and the princes? Tom asked as the army of masters and his own followers form up behind him. I'm here, my friend. Thor happily exclaims as he steps crash lands out of a portal, dragging his brother Loki close behind him. Both princes had a different reaction to the towering figure of Dormammu. Thor went wide-eyed as a mad smile formed on his lips. He gripped his hammer tightly and prepared for the battle of his life to begin. Loki, on the other hand, became very afraid and wanted nothing more than to take his brother Thor out of here before he got himself killed. He may have problems with his family, but when a universe-ending being like this is in the picture, those issues need to be put aside. Walking over and standing beside Tom, the Ancient One doesn't take her eyes off of the towering enemy before her. Only masters of Kamar-Taj are allowed to fight this battle. Although Druella is very strong for a wizard, she's only an apprentice and must still follow the rules like everybody else. She replies as if she has had to repeat this a lot before coming here. I'm sure she didn't take that too well. Tom says with a wry smirk on his face. Knowing Druella very well, Tom knew she wouldn't be happy about being left behind, especially since Tom's followers were coming as well. Out of every single one of his followers, Druella is by far the strongest of them all, but she is also a member of Kamar-Taj now and has to follow the rules set by their leader, the Ancient One. No, she didn't take it well. The Ancient One says with a shake of her head. I may have had to lock her in another dimension while we're busy here. Hearing this, Tom raised a questionable eyebrow at his mother. Oh, don't look at me like that. Your little fiancé is safe and will return to our dimension within 10 hours. That is if we don't have the chance to go and get her ourselves. She's going to be so pissed. Tom mutters as a small smile graces his face. Looking over at Dormammu and his never-ending army of mindless ones, Tom felt a lot calmer knowing his future wife is nowhere near the battle that's about to go down. Oh, if it isn't the thief. Dormammu's monstrous voice booms as he eyes the Ancient One up and down, like a human looking down on a disgusting bug. Hello, Dormammu. I'm afraid that you won't be able to go any further. Earth has no room for any more homicidal maniacs. Especially one of your caliber. The Ancient One says as she uses the Eye of Agamotto to trap everyone in the area in an endless time loop, as Dr. Stranger did in the movie. Seeing what his mother did, Tom couldn't help but be impressed with her. She involved both armies and their leaders in the trap, so as long as things go as the movie did, neither side will have a single casualty. Sadly, that means none of the mindless ones will die either, but everything can't go perfectly all the time. None of them would have a single scratch by the end of this. Though, that doesn't mean there won't be mental scars, as Dr. Strange took a very long time to bargain with Dormammu. Over 1,000 years, in fact. Hopefully, the masters of Kamar-Taj along with his followers won't be affected by the passage of time too much. I'll have to check my followers for mental issues after this, and tell Mother to do the same for the masters as well. Tom thought as the Ancient One stepped forward, never taking her eyes off of the giant primordial interdimensional being towering over her. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. She says the same line Dr. Strange repeated for over 1,000 years. You have nothing to bargain with, little ape. His monstrous voice booms as the mindless ones behind and around him fly forward towards the opposite army. Seeing as he couldn't die and may be fighting for a very, very long time, Tom decided to take advantage of the situation and hone his newfound wind powers. Knowing that Thor needed to do the same with his lightning, Tom made eye contact with him and used legilimency to inform him of his mother's plan and his plan to use it to perfect his wind power. Soon, a beaming smile appeared on Thor's face as he dropped his hammer without a second thought, and dashed towards the nearest mindless one with lightning surrounding his fists. Thor! Wait! Loki yells as he tries to find a way out of this place. Don't worry, Loki. We've got this under control. You'll see soon enough. Tom shouts to him as he follows Thor's lead and jumps into battle with wind raging along his body. Chapter 267. Making contact with his first fully transformed mindless one, Tom used the winds around him to move very quickly and chopped his hand towards the hulking one-eyed monster's neck. Since his hand was coated in a sharp blade of wind, Tom's hand easily goes through the mindless one's armor-like skin, decapitating the monster and killing it instantly. Soon after Tom killed his first mindless one, Thor sends a final lightning punch to his own enemy's face, causing the sound of thunder to fill the area, as the mindless one's head explodes. By the time that Tom and Thor were onto their 7th and 4th mindless one killed respectively, the two armies clashed as battle ensued everywhere around them. Casualties started to appear almost instantly as a few of Tom's followers and a couple of masters lost their lives upon the first clash. Tom nor the Ancient One didn't even bat an eyelash at the loss of life, as the war between Earth and the Dark Dimension raged on. Since Dormammu hasn't attacked himself yet, the Ancient One eyed the ever-expanding portal to the Dark Dimension. I should probably stop that, or at least slow it down. She muttered as she waved her hands, creating a giant circular seal made up of endless golden eldritch runes and glyphs. The seal fit perfectly around the edges of the portal, halting its expansion in its tracks immediately. Huh? Petty tricks. Dormammu muttered under his breath as he grabbed the edge of the portal and started pushing. Slowly but surely with Dormammu's help, the portal started expanding again, but this time it was at least half the spread of before. Seeing that she would have to make the first move, the Ancient One started throwing attack after attack at Dormammu, trying to distract him from the sealed portal. Attacks of every kind started grazing the towering primordial skin, causing Dormammu to feel a slight itch from the impacts. What's the matter, Dormammu? Are you afraid to face me? The Ancient One provokes him as she continues to hurl attacks in his direction. Insolent. Dormammu yells in fury as he huffs and puffs a beam of purple energy from his giant mouth. As the energy comes her way, the Ancient One simply smiles and takes it without an ounce of defense. As the purple beam engulfs her body, the masters of Kamar-Taj that didn't know her plan started to panic and try to assist her. Sadly, every single one of them was busy with their own enemy, and those that tried to assist their leader were killed for their trouble. Never turn your back on an enemy. Everyone in Earth's army just learned that small lesson. Suddenly, time seemed to rewind until the exact moment where the Ancient One activated the Eye of Agamotto. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. She says the same line Dr. Strange repeated for over 1,000 years. You have nothing to bargain with, little ape. His monstrous voice booms as the mindless ones behind and around him fly forward towards the opposite army. As the mindless ones come hurtling towards Earth's defending army, Dormammu's face scrunches in confusion as he gets a sense of déjà vu. What is this? An illusion? Dormammu mutters as he eyes the space around him in shock. No, I'm afraid not. This is real. The Ancient One says, drawing the towering figure's attention. Is it now? Dormammu questioned as he smiled predatorily and shot another beam of energy at the Ancient One. Once again, she didn't bother to even dodge as the beam of purple energy collided with her. Suddenly, time reversed again. Straight back to the point where the Ancient One activated the Eye of Agamotto. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. She says the same line Doctor Strange repeated for over 1,000 years. You have nothing to bargain with, little. Huh, so it isn't an illusion. Dormammu surmises as he holds back his army of mindless ones this time. What is happening? Loki yells in confusion. You haven't put it together yet? Tom scoffs at the second prince's confusion. I thought you were supposed to be the great Loki. Someone of your standing should be able to see the trick behind this. Thor laughed with glee from beside his brother, for once he knows something Loki doesn't. Glaring at Tom, Loki analyzes the situation and looked towards Tom's mother with realization clear in his eyes. Every time she dies, time rolls back to this point. Loki muttered as he eyed some of the soldiers that have come back to life as time reversed. As everyone in the defending army learned that they would come back to fight over and over thanks to their leader, they formed up the ranks once again and vowed to take out more of the mindless ones before they die again. This was a fight for Earth's survival, and all of them would give their lives over and over to protect it. I'll say it again. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. This marks the end of part 44 of the story, I'm Vōldēmōrt. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe the video to listen more. Hit the bell icon to get notified of all the new content uploaded to the channel ASAP.